Neal Battaglia, Saxation.com. I wanted to talk about playing melodies with other horn players. And basically, if you're playing a song together, maybe you're at a jam session or something, and you're playing a melody that you either have the music to or you all know, it's kind of tempting to just play the melody together. And sometimes that works. If there's basically kind of a set rhythm, there's kind of articulations that everyone pretty much knows, it can sound all right to play together. You want to listen and you want to make sure that you're on the same page and not interpreting it in really different ways. Other times, though, it's going to be a ballad, like a slower melody. And in these cases, even if you're all reading the music, you're going to probably tend to interpret it a little bit. So in those cases, it's a lot of times better to actually kind of switch off. Maybe one guy plays 8 bars, the next play plays 8 bars, 8 bars, and so on. So then you get to kind of interpret the melody in your own way, and you're not stepping on anyone's toes. So that can often sound better to anyone listening, and it's just going to be a better result. If it is even a faster song, say it's like Coltrane's Impression, and that might be a tune that you would tend to know as a saxophone player, but at the same time, there's not just one way that this song was recorded. So let's say you're reading and everyone has like the real book. It might actually be a better idea to just read it as it is if everyone's going to play it together. Because if one person plays an interpretation or the way that it was played on a certain album, that needs to match up with everyone for it to sound good. Otherwise, it's going to be clashing. The rhythms aren't going to match up. Another thing that I saw pretty recently was I was at Inside Outside with Bob Reynolds, Bob Franceschini, Bob Heminger at Wooden Woods near Nashville. And we have these groups, and we had about 15 saxophone players in this group they were playing in. And we were trying to play a song. One of the songs that we ended up playing with that group was Pick Up the Pieces. And what we did was we didn't have all 15 saxophone players playing unison. That might have sounded okay if it was really tight, but within that song there are harmonies. So we split up the harmonies. We had some altos playing some things. We had some tenors on like a lower part. We had the guitar part. It's kind of like a counter line. We had 3 of the guys playing that. And it's going to be easier to get 3 guys to play together tightly than it is to get like 6 or 7 people to play exactly the same. It can be done, and if you're listening and working on it, it's definitely a possibility. But to get something together in a short amount of time, it's basically going to be easier. It's going to be the easiest to have one person play something. If you want more power, to have more people playing something, it's going to be easier with maybe 2 or 3 people. But to get like 6 people to play the same line exactly the same can be done. But if there's even a little bit of variation, it kind of kills the effect of the line being played in one way. It's going to sound probably muddy, like if everyone's playing one note short and then except for one person who plays it long, the shortness is kind of going to get lost in the one person playing it long because it's short with something else around it. So it's really not short. It's not going to have the same amount of space that it would have if it was everyone is playing that one note short. So yeah, just be aware if you're playing with other horn players that there is a time and a place to interpret the melody. If you're being featured, if you're the soloist, probably if you're the lead alto, you can kind of come up with a phrasing and other people will follow you. But it's not good to have everyone interpret something in their own way. That's not really going to work. So sometimes it's good to switch off with the melody. Sometimes you could maybe have 2 people or 3 people playing a certain part. And you really just need to be aware. You need to listen. You need to pay attention to articulation, to rhythm, to phrasing, and try and make the music sound good.